Short film roundup.
But first, a quick disclaimer. On Short Film Roundup, we review short films with the utmost honesty, sometimes brutal honesty. This means we may say things about your blood, sweat, and tears labor of love short film that aren't necessarily flattering. We do this because we believe it's the best way for you, us, and the entire short film making community to learn and grow. So don't take it personally. We have all made the same mistakes on our filmmaking journey, so if it ever appears that we are laughing at you, just know that we are also laughing at ourselves. Now on with the show.
Hello and welcome. Hi there. Oh, well, hi there. This is Short Film Roundup.
I saw him there the whole time.
Yeah, he was right there.
Took me by surprise. Stealthy little critter, aren't you?
Critter.
Anyway, welcome to Short Film Roundup from Karmanlinestudios, the place where we watch your short films and tear them
rip
to
them apart.
Little tiny pieces, burn them up, and dance on the ashes.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Our first one for today is called Neighborly by Them Seekers.
Yes. Yep. Apparently a collective of artists.
Yeah, there's no director.
Filmmaking co-op.
For this, Them Seekers.
These egoless filmmakers.
So go watch it. Click the thing.
Click the link in the description and come right on back now. You hear?
Hey, Erickson! Hey! Do I know you? I'm Cartwright, the new neighbor. Oh, yeah, welcome to Monroe. How do you know my name?
Read your mail, of course.
That's a little fucked up. Don't do that again. All right, man, I'm coming to you. I have to go to work. Actually, a small favor, dude. It's all right.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Is anyone there?
Hello?
Are we back?
Oh, yeah, we're back.
Hey, Kenny.
Yeah, what's up?
Tell me a little bit about this movie, Neighborly.
Okay, so my first impression on Neighborly is that these guys are funny people. I think they'd be funny to hang out with, and I bet they have brains filled with funny ideas. That being said, I had a lot of problems with this film. We've had this discussion many times with covering shorts, especially comedy shorts, where a funny idea is just stretched out too thin across too much movie, and it begins to become less interesting. So the funny here came from this character who is from LA, and people from LA are terrible neighbors, and he's quirky and weird, and just is in this guy's face and is like the worst neighbor ever. And that was funny. But over 10 minutes, I don't know. It could have been a very strong joke in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
10, a little much.
Yeah, I totally agree. Definitely, like when it comes down to plot of this film, the plot is pretty thin.
There's not
really a plot.
There's not much that goes on besides. They just interact with each other.
It's not a story; it's a joke.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have gone on quite as long. Like, I would agree with you. There were a lot of moments that I thought were funny. Like, I thought the whole beginning was pretty funny, and I thought they had these really great moments when these two characters are interacting with each other. But not every moment hit. For every moment that was good, there's an equal moment that either was just not that amazing, not that funny. And I kept wondering why it was shot so wide, most of the time.
I'm sure they just had a fixed lens.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But there was shots that aren't wide in it. There are more compressed telephoto shots.
I guess
in
like
there.
this one,
like right there, yeah. And there too.
Their performances were fine.
Yeah.
Also, the only use of a foreground element here.
Yeah. They jumped the line
shot
a million times.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the shot, the shooting, the editing were both a big problem.
So this is something that I wanted to put in was the editing. I thought was pretty terrific for what it was. That being said, pretty much everything that can go wrong with the film went wrong with this film, I think. like you said, they jumped the lines several times, in this conversation, which made it for a little confusing as to where we were. The jokes didn't land all the time. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. Really weird shot choices, like the one where they're walking up. Hey,
Thanks.
like the one here we were talking about where they're walking up here. It's just a weird shot.
Yeah.
I felt like the person who made the film, because I feel like there was one mind behind the process.
It's a collective.
There is a collective, and I think these two guys are part of the collective, because they definitely seem to think they're in on the joke. But yeah, so I figured that there was a process here, and they really knew what they were going to do, but then it didn't really come out the way that I think they thought it was going to come out. There's shots in here that tell me, like this, for example, where he shows his mail and then flips it right back up. Like, he's probably seeing the display of the camera, right? The fact that we have Cartwright written in all caps as in almost marker across the white envelope.
Like, obviously not real mail.
Yeah, like
that was strange to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of these little parts in here that just it's not a real thing.
We've covered other movies like this. It's when it's by a bunch of guys who have all these inside jokes and are very funny to each other.
Right.
They don't always carry across into a movie where we don't have the shared context with you. So
right.
That idea, like that,
Yeah. Another one of them is this shot, the
This-
reaction shot right here. Like
that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because they filmed it and they're like, that was funny, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And these are funny, by themselves, I'm sure. But you're not creating anything in a context in like a whole. You're not creating everything in a huge film way.
When the story ended, when the film ended, my first reaction was just like, that was really weird.
Yeah.
That whole gun scene with the musket was really. I think that was probably my least favorite moment of the whole
Same
movie
here.
because it got really long-winded.
It did. Yeah, they
Because
kept
it was
repeating
like-
the same thing.
Yeah,
over and
it
over.
felt very repetitive.
Yeah.
Um,
Like he said, wow, this is great. Thank you.
yeah, it's
Wow,
been in
thank
my
you."
family for generations. It's
Yeah.
been in my family for generations, and they keep building up this because he's gonna do something with the gun. But it's
Right.
like I don't know, the tension wasn't quite there.
We had
or the funny-
momentum building pretty well at the beginning, all the way up through the scene where he's driving around and seeing this guy all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really where the movie peaked.
Oh yeah.
And it
Right.
should have had an ending
Or with
right
that,
after
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That we had finished the movie by that point.
Yeah.
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 And so getting into this whole next bit with the gun really felt like just unnecessary and almost like intrusive.
Yeah, it was kind of weird too. So I think what we're getting at here is that it was this whole film feels like a joke that they wanted to make, and it's not a world in itself. It very much feels fake.
And it very well may be one of those films where guys said, "Hey, let's get together and make a movie tomorrow."
Right.
Because it didn't feel like it had a ton of thought put into it. One of the things that you tend to see in movies like that are locations that don't have a lot of preparation put into them.
As like the first shot here.
Oh yeah, and when they're in the kitchen. So you can make your film so much better by just spend 3 hours cleaning up the house and making it look like your character lives there,
Right.
instead of your family lives there. Because this guy, we haven't been given a lot of information about him. Is he supposed to be a dad of 3 kids? Maybe. But when we go to the kitchen, first of all, this first shot is just sort of distracting because it's like, well, what is this pile of stuff? Intent always comes across,
Yeah.
even if you don't mean to.
Yeah.
This comes across as
means
intentional,
the
which means
shoebox.
that shoebox, that core,
Right.
this is all part of your story, whether
Yeah.
you want it to or not. The thing they want us to see is the snow shovel.
Right, which actually kind of blends in a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now go to the kitchen. When we get to the gun. So here, look at the pile of stuff.
What is that?
Hold on, we have a...
There's beeping.
Yeah, that's beeping.
it's the...
I've never heard that
It's the
before.
security system.
Really?
It came on the other day, too.
That's weird.
As I was saying, we don't know much about this character. If he just lives here alone, does he have a family? I don't know. But on the counter, we got the supersized Skippy peanut butter, 2 of them, right? And this huge pile of groceries on the ground that looks like you clearly just got back from Costco.
Right.
Huge Costco shopping has been piled on the floor right there.
Right.
Dog food.
Is that dog food?
So it's like, this is obviously...
Where's the dog?
You don't look like the character who lives in this house. That's what the problem is here.
Right.
So I see 2 guys using mom's house to make their video, not a story that I'm losing myself in. So always just take 3 hours, get some boxes, put everything into. But we're about to do this ourselves. We're going to shoot a short film, very likely in someone's house of someone we know, and this house is just filled with stuff.
It looks like this, right?
Yeah.
We just have to clear
and we are planning
all
on
of it
taking
out.
a whole day to take every single thing out of this house. We're going to photograph it. We're going to log where it all's supposed to go back. But we're going to turn the house into the type of place our character would live,
Right.
not just 4 walls and a roof for you to shoot your movie in.
Right.
Because your location is a character.
Right, and we've talked about, I mean, this countless times, but like one of the things you can do is if you don't want to go and just like dress up your whole set, make your set into part of the character, right? So in this instance, like what this says to an audience, a bunch of all this stuff on the table, is that there needs to be a reason for it. So either he came back shopping and just like unloaded groceries,
Party
or maybe
just ended.
Yeah.
I don't know, something. We should know that he's got a bunch of kids running around somewhere.
Right. So that could be part of his character, and then you have a reason, And we always say right for the location if you have a very low budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then again, just to say, like it does seem like this movie was made almost on a whim. And it is like a bunch of people getting together, and they probably didn't prep
and
it
if
that
so,
much.
tell us. I want to know your process here.
And I do want to say, again, like the disclaimer says, the way we approach reviewing films is we're gonna approach it with like a theatrical feature length film. So again, everything matters to us.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that one there says like. You just finished a peanut butter bender last night. I'm guessing that's a bottle of like olive oil, but it looks like wine. You're like going down on wine and dipping Pringles in peanut butter all night.
Right.
Right. I wonder how much of a script there was for this.
I feel like most of it was what do you call it? What's the word? Improv.
Yeah.
The stuff outside by the car felt scripted.
That did feel scripted.
Because they did really hit beats. It was
Yeah.
back, forth.
And maybe it was like
his running joke of
and like
that's us in LA
I liked this guy. I liked his performance.
This guy with the glasses.
Yeah, it just went on too long. It was too much. But just for the first, I'm annoyed by you. Try to be nice and elevate to I hate you.
Yeah.
Was a fine arc. That was a good arc, and it was believable. But then by the end, once you'd seen him do it 4 or 5 times, it was it's just not funny anymore.
I was really impressed with the editing. Like I said before, a lot of times when we see films like this, the speed of which we cut from one cut to the other always seems to lack intention, where we just don't know. We don't know what they're trying to say. And here, there was like no fat. We have what the person says, and
I
then
do
what the other person
appreciate that.
says.
Yes.
See, okay, so that was. I had wondered about this shot. He rips up the paper, and then it looks like he doesn't throw it. Oh, he does. Okay, because his arm covered it up. Okay.
Yeah, it looked like it
doesn't make it into the car.
Outside,
yeah,
but it did make it. That's kind of funny.
That is sort of funny.
How about the sound? Did all kinds of weird things throughout the movie. I mean, there wasn't a consistent level.
I got used to it. Like, I stopped noticing it. Like, I noticed it at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is kind of almost sounds like it's like onboard mic.
It sounds very omnidirectional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just sort of stopped noticing it.
There's one part that screws me up with sound, and that's this right here. The door comes open, and there's this loud squeak. And it's just what old cars do when you open doors. But it's like it doesn't say anything again in the film, so you need to cut it out.
How about that shot where it looks like they have a camera mounted on the outside of the car?
Yeah, that shot's
Man,
awesome.
That was weird.
That's crazy.
So I want to know what they used.
Because
Like,
the
is there a
camera's
guy?
moving.
He's like holding it.
Yeah,
and he's
so
like
it looks
sitting on the hood.
He's sitting on the hood.
I think that's probably what he's doing because I've done that before. I believe that's what they're doing.
The audio is surprisingly good, and I think it's real. I don't think it's ADR because you can hear like the wind.
That's a neat shot.
I think his mic's just
Fun.
pointed downwind, and no wind's hitting his mic.
This is also another one of those things where we can say good cinematography versus bad. This is a really cool looking shot. I don't think it's necessary, for what you're trying to
Yeah,
say.
it doesn't have any purpose.
Like there's no style intent. There's no
Just a
message.
cool shot.
It's just a cool shot. Yeah. And I think it was accidentally a cool shot. That's not to say it's bad. Like I'm saying, I'm just think, if you have a camera that you're usually shooting on the widest setting, to get everything, you're gonna point it towards your character during this part, and that's just the way it looks.
Anything else?
Yeah, that dude looks totally like Carl Fredricksen, young Carl Fredricksen.
Anything else we got?
I have no more to say. I want to know how much of this was scripted, how much of it was outlined, how much of it was improv. That's what I'm curious about.
I want to know how many days before you decided you wanted to make this movie.
That
How
I
much
would like
prep?
to know.
Yeah.
Also, how long did it take you to make the movie?
And probably the most important takeaway that you guys, I'm hoping, got out of this film is how good of a time did you have doing it?
Yeah.
Because that's what these films. That's what I see
The
when I see
most
these films.
fun.
These guys had a great time.
Yeah.
They had a great time. Is this a piece of art? No, no, it's not. But I know they had fun making a movie. And if you're not having fun making your movie, then why live?
Even make movies?
Why live?
Why live?
Why live?
I agree.
Give up. KY.
Oh, no.
Okay, hi. All right. Thank you so much for submitting your movie, guys.
I want to go on a little tangent, a mini tangent
Oh dear.
on standards, just in general, and the way we approach
Ooh, he's about to
critique.
All right. Standards.
So what I mean, and because I feel like we did kind of crap all over that movie.
Yeah. This is part of the episode, or are you trying to?
This is part of the episode.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We were kind of.
I wanna make it clear that we're gonna treat short films that we review like theatrical films.
We treat them all the same.
Yeah, we have high standards, and we don't like to There's no excuse for stuff. I feel like for stuff as simple as like cleaning up the house, it can seem like we're being nitpicky and little over the top.
That's
into
what
it.
makes a film a film.
That's what makes this art form work.
Yeah. Right.
And the more nitpicky you can be, the better your movie is going to be.
I would say that too.
Yeah. And so I want to make it clear that we're not trying to be like, oh, we hate them because they just had fun one day and didn't think about it.
Right.
That's not why.
That's not why.
That's not why.
We're not lowering the bar.
Yeah.
Standards are important.
I just want to say
And the
that.
three of us have high standards, no compromise standards for film quality. We do not share standards in fashion and personal appearance.
Absolutely not.
I insist that if you do not have a collar on your shirt, you are not dressed. Dee and Taylor like to come to work.
I wear button-up shirts.
Yeah,
I
he
was
does.
wearing them yesterday.
Tell it to
Kenny,
our episodes.
Whereas Kenny wears the
I will,
same
but
t-shirts every day. So.
I have 5.
Are you like a cartoon character?
I like the color blue.
You
That's
go
all.
to your closet and it's like all the same.
Don't be jealous.
What do we got next?
can I
Come to
say,
work
man?
in your
I kinda wish-
pajamas. He comes to work in his pajamas, and this guy in his underwear. Dressed to impress, gentlemen. Dressed to impress.
Tisk tisk.
Bang, bang.
Tisk tisk bang bang.
Yep.
Is that a thing?
Tisk, tisk, bang, bang.
All right, our next film.
No.
Our next
That's,
film.
no, that's
Anti.
my... That's
So anyway,
guys, stop it.
our next film is going to be.
You're fired, D.
Okay, wait. So
Taylor,
this,
what'd you think about that?
God damn it.
Fine.
Yeah, so this one's called
Walmart.
Anti
It's made
by Walmart Run Films Productions. Walmart Run. Sure, that.
Yeah.
I don't think you can use the name of Walmart.
Well, there's no space.
It's Walmart Run.
It's a different word.
It's a different word. Yeah, it's pronounced different too.
Yeah.
Go watch this
Walmart.
film. It is. There's a link in the description. Click it. Come back. We're back.
All right.
Already. Whew.
Wasn't that? Wait.
Time flies when you're having
A joy
sort of
full time.
existential trip through antidepressant drugs.
So Taylor,
Yo.
you're what we call a expressionist filmmaker
From time to time.
from time to time.
Yeah.
This is an expressionist film.
Yes,
Tell
it
me a
is.
little bit about it.
Well, it's about antidepressants, which I picked up on when we first watched it because of all the pills and stuff and the kind of relatively... It has like a melancholy feel to it where it's kind of mellow, kind of sad, kind of happy-ish.
Yeah.
But it definitely feels numbed,
Numb.
and that's kind of what like antidepressants sort of do. I don't have experience with that, but that's from what I've heard.
From what you've heard.
And I thought that was kind of cool. I liked it overall. I thought it was interesting. I thought I liked the music, but I thought it was interesting that it was so tinny. Like I'm not sure why it was.
So this one actually, it seemed like it had a low cut on it.
Yeah.
And you said, or a high pass.
Yeah.
You said that it sounded like they recorded it with their phone.
Yeah, it sounded like
different source.
Instead of taking the file itself and putting it in the timeline, they recorded the song through their phone and then put that in the timeline.
That's what it sounds like, yeah. Because there's no low frequencies here.
And I assume that's intentional.
And Kenny assumes that's intentional.
I do.
I don't know why that is.
Well,
What makes you think it's intentional?
Well, because that would tie right into the emotion.
The numb.
Yeah.
And the
I feel like it'd be
you
different.
know,
I feel
if-
like a
if
high
we're trying
cut
to-
would be better.
Well, have you taken antidepressants that you want to divulge on our show?
No, but connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just whatever. You know nothing. Jon Snow. No, well, it's about their own experience, so it doesn't matter
yeah.
what we think.
Right.
Well,
Which he says in the description also.
So
We'll get to that.
So the I think having some whether it's high or low, it being an altered state.
Yeah.
To the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
an altered state. And I felt like that was the point of this
Yeah.
music
So
sounding that
I
way.
can see that.
That's interesting, Mr. Submitter. Let us know if that was intentional, because that was something that was glaring to us.
Yeah.
Is that there was definitely a choice
sound.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That had to have been a deliberate choice thinking about it, because it's definitely a no-brainer to use just the audio itself, right?
And it seems like they're pretty competent in filmmaking, you know.
Yeah.
I
liked it.
really
I
liked the
this.
editing.
Yeah.
The way this was edited together was really cool.
I thought the shot choices, and edited was
Yeah,
really
I like
great.
the look of the movie a lot.
Yeah, and it does have sort of like a, kind of a living in a haze sort of.
Yeah.
feel to it.
Yeah, that's
So
what
this
I
is
liked
interesting.
about it.
Now that we know what this movie is about, okay, so just before we looked at this, their YouTube description says, anyways, some context. But if you see, it's
Yeah.
cut off right here.
Can you just read that out for us?
Yeah, so it says, this video is supposed to be an outlook on how my brain reacts to antidepressants. You don't have to look at it that way. I just thought it was worth explaining. Either way, I hope you enjoy my art. I don't own rights to any of the music. So what that says to me now, is that provides context now, and this whole thing means something different now to me specifically, because when we were watching this, I did get that whole kind of haze kind of feeling that these aren't very clear, that everything just kind of numb, but I did not understand it was connected to antidepressants. And it's because in my life, I have a connection to antidepressants where they're very much a positive thing. So to me, this whole thing, I've seen these kind of beginning shots, like these blurry ones and these pills going down.
I like that.
Like that to me says suicide, and the reason why is because I've seen those in other films, and so I'm drawing my own conclusions from it.
Yeah. Well,
But-
anywhere we just see like an endless string of pills going into a mouth,
Right.
that does seem to hint at a
Well,
Like
a-
an attentional overdose.
Yeah.
an abuse.
That and water
Yeah,
is
he's,
a
like,
big
drowning himself.
connection with suicide. So
I really like that.
yeah, so it's something that I had just connected myself, but now reading the context, this whole thing feels a lot more interesting to me, and it really does make a lot more sense.
So D, would you prefer, when you see a expressionist movie, would you prefer to have someone there saying, "This is my piece of art about how I feel about antidepressants," versus just watching it?
Yeah, and the reason why is because
I feel like that's like, it sort of like diminishes.
I don't think so.
Well, to me,
Well,
I feel
that's fine.
what
No,
is-
I don't think that's
No,
how
no,
you
no,
feel.
no, no, no,
That's
no,
not how you
Kenny.
feel.
No, 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 no.
No, you don't.
So Amy and I like going to the museum a lot, and we like looking at just paintings, right?
Yeah.
And I love trying to go over there and look at the painting and trying to figure out what this person was thinking at the time, what they were going through, and sometimes I have little side cards on there that tell you exactly that. And what I do first is I look at the painting, then I look at the side card, and that reinterprets my view, and I'm like, oh wow, they're actually doing this, blah blah blah, and I can see that, and the connection between their emotion at the time and their art, that very visceral, very tight connection is something that I really enjoy about art.
Yeah.
Is because you can see the human in it, and that's
Yeah.
what I really like about it.
I
So
get that.
that's why I don't like interpretation and openness and open translating, and it just kind of is whatever you want it to be, because obviously they have an intent, and it's really cool to see what their intent was.
Yeah. As for me, I feel
No, you don't.
that I'm actually a little disappointed to see the explanation at the bottom. Like, I wish I hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Because, for one, I had already come to that conclusion
Yeah.
anyway. I thought it was pretty clear to me anyway. But I don't like when something that's clearly sort of open-ended, an expressionistic piece, I feel like sort of the purpose is to open your mind and let your mind take this piece of art and go to whatever place it's going to take you. And as soon as you have that context, that's going to take away that ability.
Sure does, yeah. And sometimes that is bad. I mean, we've even talked about like Mother before, how Mother has a context to it that is better without,
Yeah.
And I think it really depends on the kind of art that you're looking at. If you want to read more into it, if it doesn't mean that much to you right off the bat. And typically, I think most expressionist pieces to me don't mean a lot to me by themselves, because they don't have a lot of, maybe I just don't have a lot of experiences personally that relate to a bunch of the stuff that I watch. That could be it. But Mother, for example, is one that really connected with me really deeply. So maybe
It's
that's
all
why.
Right.
It all depends.
And like,
Yeah.
if you went into Mother having heard Aronofsky's explanation ahead of time,
Dude,
Right.
Yeah.
No,
it
yeah.
would have really ruined the experience.
It would have.
For me.
Yeah, for me too.
especially.
Yeah. Especially since I got something completely different from it.
Yeah. Taylor and I just watched a documentary called Samsara,
Yeah.
which is by Ron Frick. He's a very, very talented cinematographer. He just has beautiful work. And Samsara is a non-dialogue, purely expressionist documentary, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's documenting things that are real and have actually happened, but it's put together in this very
surreal, kind of
way.
uncanny.
Yes, and it's beautiful, and it lets you sort of, I feel like, go deeper into yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a tool to go deeper into your own soul and understand yourself better through it and your world. You know, and the way you relate to it, and it becomes very personal.
Yeah.
And if I had had him say, I made this film to do this, this, and this, then I would have been trying to do those things.
Right.
That's why I feel that way.
Yeah, and I mean they're two completely different views on film, and they don't mix at all. But yeah, that is interesting. That's even there. This concept of interpretation versus intention even relates to the next film that we're gonna watch, which we'll talk about that.
That is kind of interesting.
Yeah, overall, man, I thought this was great because despite some of the weird things that I thought were weird, kind of like the immediate stop motion here, to me aesthetically didn't make any sense because it didn't match anything else. But it gets still the message across.
Yeah,
the
cool
whole
idea.
Yeah, the whole idea of all of this
it.
together does really give that feeling of numbness. And the person that I've known that does antidepressants, that takes antidepressants has talked about how it just feels like it's just this, over
cycle.
and over.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I really like this. I like when a movie can have like you have an idea, like if an experimental film is having an experiment,
Right.
having some idea that you want to translate and put through a filter of film. And this would be, he had the idea of like, I want to make what it feels like on antidepressants and put that into a piece for other people to feel.
I would call that expressionist.
Yeah.
It would be. I understand the difference.
You can
call it whatever you want.
Yeah, you can talk about that forever.
Yeah.
What I like about it is, for me, it doesn't matter. For me, it almost doesn't matter what. I struggle. I struggle, man. With the intent thing.
You just struggle.
I struggle because I don't. I don't want.
We all do. Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to be told what the intent was, but I want to be able to feel what their intent was.
Yeah.
You know?
See, okay, so now that's interesting because we had talked about this several times before, where we talk about expressionism, in my eyes, can be bad. Like, you can have bad expressionism versus good expressionism. And I think the ones that are very, very, very interpretive are probably bad expressionism done in a way that's just super interpretive. And maybe that was their intention, it doesn't matter. But then ones like these are really, really good expressionism, where it does give a feeling to most people who watch it, and that is what they intended. That's what I would call good expressionism.
Yeah. I do agree with you in the sense that this is tricky stuff.
It
man.
is, man. It is.
Because you can't really just say that something is objectively good or bad. I don't think you can.
No, it's based on popularity.
Popularity?
Yeah. It's based on how many people would interpret it that way,
The way intended?
Yeah. Because we've talked about this several times before. The color red means something different to many people.
No, it's blue.
The color red means something different to many different cultures, to many different people.
I mean, you can quantify red though.
As in,
red,
like,
red
anger or love.
Right.
Red
and
is anger and love.
To many people, like in our culture, red is usually associated with fire, which is associated with the devil.
Whoa.
because our culture has been brought up on Catholicism, right? So the fact that red means danger or means stop or means something intense is because of our culture, but that's a popular demand, or it's a popular view, So that's what I would say that's what popular means. It's among the populace.
I can say that I've seen expressionist films that I didn't like. I can say that.
Yeah.
I would never say that.
You like every expressionist.
We have this conversation, I think, every third episode.
Yeah, we do.
We're always
even
hung up on
even
this.
off camera too. We're
always hung up
about
on this.
stuff.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing this with us. Let's do a few
Really liked it.
questions.
Yeah.
Do you guys have questions?
What else have you made, and are you typically making what we're calling expressionist films? Like, do you make films of this style? Do you have other kind of ideas of things you want to put into this style?
I'd like to see some more. If you do have more expressionist films, this feels very, very personal. So maybe this, maybe you don't have a lot of that, but I'd love to see more, man.
What is the pants down shot about? Are we getting dressed?
to me that felt like it was, just another day. You're coming out of bed and putting your pants on. But then maybe.
But his shoes are on.
Yeah, but maybe it
so
could be.
pants came down.
It could be
to do
masturbating.
Something.
It could be mundane masturbating.
That's what I mean. It seems like it has some meaning.
Yeah.
When you see pants down and shoes on and no toilet,
Right.
then that means something.
Right.
Sex.
I don't know. I'm curious. That's all. I love this hallway.
Yeah.
I want to shoot things in that hallway.
I don't
Always
like.
rad.
I don't like the walk. He looks like he's aware there's a camera there.
I like how he jumps into the pool here.
I like the jump cut.
Oh, well, last thing. This is very important. The thing that amused me the most about this film was that we saw what ended up being an expressionist film that started with "I hope you understand."
I love that. Yeah.
Which is funny because we're always on that. We're like expressionism means it's nebulous.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like if your real hope was understanding, then you'd probably make a different kind of
film.
movie altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I love
it's
that.
almost like a little riddle.
Yeah.
It's like it's a riddle.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
It depends on your view on expressionism. In my eyes, I like it in that way.
Well, thanks, Walmart Run.
I like the title here also.
Yeah, actually,
The
I
font
do
and
like
the
the font.
stylization.
I do like the stylistic choice here.
Whoa.
I like that stylistic choice too that the computer made just now. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Awesome stuff. Good work. Thank you for submitting.
Nicely
you.
done.
Our third film for today is called Devoid, and it's I think by Nate Bryce, and I say I think because it's posted by him on Vimeo. Let us know what you think. Come right back.
Because we don't know when we will die, we get to think of life as an inexhaustible well. Yet everything happens only a certain number of times, and a very small number, really. How many more times will you remember a certain afternoon of your childhood? Some afternoon that's so deeply a part of your being that you can't even conceive of your life without it. Perhaps 4 or 5 times more. Perhaps not even that.
And we're back.
Oh, hey.
So D, what did you think about this film? Well, this was really funny. We started watching this film. Is this weird for me to
No, it's
No,
awesome.
you have to tell the story.
Keep going.
Yeah. So we watched the film without sound first.
And we just went along assuming that
I was
it
like
was
into
a
it.
silent film.
Right, yeah, I was like, wow, this
We
is
were-
interesting.
Taylor
about-
loved it.
We were about a minute, or no, not a minute. So about 40 seconds into it before we were like, I said, Taylor, pause. Is the sound on? Because it was completely silent.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's
And it turned out the sound was down.
sound was down.
There is it is a talkie.
So as it turns out, it's not expressionist, but more of like a visual poem / documentary poem-ish thing.
I called it a meme.
Yeah. So tell me, Kenny, what
do
you
you mean
thought
by
of this?
that?
Well, what I mean by that is that it's so popular to take a quote or profound statement, put it in front of a pretty image, and post it on Facebook, and that's what I felt like this was.
Yeah.
It's a long quote, but it's a quote where someone, a narrator, is saying something profound about the nature of life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
We talked about the word Sonder before.
yeah.
How it's like just everywhere that you see the word Sonder, just Google it right now. The word Sonder. It's hilarious.
Okay. And we're listening to that and seeing some beautiful imagery. I got to say this, the cinematography is really, really nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's some great looking black and white too.
Yep.
Love it.
I like the paint right there. Love that.
That
Does
texture's
it-
great, yeah.
Is it necessarily motivated? I could see some. I could see some tie-ins to the content of the quote, but really all it is interesting visuals with a interesting quote put together.
Right.
So it's a meme. It is. It's a nice meme, but it's an audio-visual. It's an audio-visual meme.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this kind of movie.
It's a good-looking meme.
It is a good looking meme. I'm not a fan of voiceover just saying.
And it should be it was a nice voiceover.
Yeah, it's
a
like
good recording.
That's not why I watch movies, though. I don't watch movies to be told about stuff.
So you've come up a few times. I think this is just not your taste. Kind of like expressionism isn't really mine.
Yeah.
Where we've had a few films now where it's narration, and you hate them for it.
Yeah, I don't like narration.
Yeah.
When it's done like this.
Well, the visuals, right? So when we were watching this movie without sound, it was an expressionist piece.
Yeah,
I was
like,
and I actually really liked it.
And we're like, this is intense.
Yeah.
But the narration then comes in. The narration says, this is exactly what this is about.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And then, but the visuals don't even all the way tie into
They don't.
it.
Yeah. So I felt like
I thought that was very weakly tied.
Like you said, Kenny, they're not motivated.
Yeah.
Like none of the visuals here are motivated. The guy is talking about life itself, and we see him painting.
And you could say like,
well, that's a person alive.
Yeah, you could say, like how many more times is he gonna paint before he dies? Maybe he's only gonna paint 10 more times before he dies.
He's got wrinkles on his face. He's got gray hair.
But like when he's just
older person, so it's like a reminiscing.
Yeah.
Wise person maybe.
But like when he's just standing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a beautiful shot.
Maybe last time he watches a sunrise.
Yeah.
Sunset.
We're not. I mean,
except during that, they're talking about how many times you're going to see a full moon rise.
Yeah, something like.
So it's
actually disjointed.
It's kind of funny because we're talking about like, so the previous film we were talking about what you read into the film before you're given context, and you kind of have to read more into the film despite it being narrated.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is almost the opposite.
Yeah, but see, the narration I think just sort of stifles you lose your inhibition to even read into it.
Right? Well, I think it's
that's
required.
What it's about, so I'm done.
That's what we're saying, right? Is like the visuals didn't match the narrative so much that we're like, okay, well, how does it? We have to create that connection ourselves.
Yeah. Well, let's step through the shots real quick. So you got a guy in a shower.
Okay.
Maybe.
How many times is he going to shower before he dies?
A guy standing under a tree, looking at a horizon.
How many times is he going to stand in a shower?
Doing a charcoal drawing. He's a craftsman, an artist.
Warp stabilized. This was an interesting shot. So
I like that one, and I like this one a lot.
Love that
I
shot.
like that shot a lot. That's a cool shot
that's
too.
a good shot too.
Yeah. All these shots are really nice.
So yeah, they're very beautiful shots, but what the context
it's
is,
just there is no point.
And the content,
yeah,
right?
Like it kind of like you put a cool voiceover quote to your cinematography reel.
Yeah,
because
it's like to me, this isn't what I like to see in movies. Like this is a poem.
It feels like a
if
demo.
anything, like I'd rather just read
the poem.
read the narration.
Yeah.
That's where this
just
should
watch
be.
it, right?
Or just watch it without a narration.
Here's the problem. Got it. Boom. Light bulb.
Whoa.
It's motivation.
The most significant thing about this movie is the narration. All the significance comes from the narration, and that's a big problem when you're making a movie.
Yeah.
Well, because
visual medium.
Visuals and second, sounds, right?
Yeah.
You're creating an audio-visual experience. And when words that could have been communicated on a written piece of paper are your most significant piece, then
it's like you chose the wrong medium.
Well,
it just negates the beauty of your visuals.
Yeah, no, it definitely does that. Yeah, it pulls attention away from the visuals.
It's
because sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a happy accident that we watched it without sound.
Right.
First,
right.
Because honestly, this was a better movie.
Without sound.
Yeah,
so I wanted to say that
it was a stirring silent film.
It was.
Yeah.
We after we watched it all the way through, it was the only film that I've said, let's rewatch that, because I had to listen to what he was talking about because I was so engaged by the visuals. I was like, wow, these are beautiful. I didn't even hear what was happening, and then I listened to it, the whole thing, and then I had to mix the two together, and it's like there's two strong things happening here that just don't mix. When we watched it without sound, it was really, really interesting because it looked like we're telling this story about a guy. And as we've said before, film is a visual medium. So when we're interpreting footage that's just itself, this guy looks like he's doing a lot of what's it called?
Reflection.
Self-reflection.
And he's an artist.
Yeah, like maybe
Yeah.
it's the end of his life. Maybe he's about to die.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just been left and now he's all alone.
And so all of this has completely different context
Yeah.
when, or completely different meaning when there's zero context.
Right. Well, I'm looking into his eyes and I'm thinking about me. I'm thinking about my own life and my, mortality and what I've accomplished and what is he painting.
Right.
All those questions go out of my head when I'm listening to this quote.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny because the quote is kind of saying stuff like, you got to live every day and cherish everything.
And it's a great quote. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great poem.
Yeah, no doubt is that like a genuinely interesting thought and
Yep.
like profound, thought.
Yeah.
But it's just takes away from, it doesn't fit into a movie like this.
It did,
when it's delivered
when it's
like
shot
this.
like that. Yeah. It would make more sense if we saw the guy, doing stuff that actually tied into what we were talking about.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to be told exactly what I'm supposed to be
And
feeling.
I think that's taste.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of this was unmotivated.
If we talk strictly technical, this movie's awesome.
Actually, I didn't really.
Using that word wrong.
I didn't really like the voiceover. I thought the voiceover was actually not so good.
You mean the technicality of the recording itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good enough.
It was good enough.
Compared to like what we have in a lot of our other short
Well,
films.
sure, but
he had a microphone. So you've already got 9 out of 10 stars.
I mean, sure,
right there.
but like we said, we don't lower the bar.
Yeah. I expect 10 stars.
Visually, and the cinematography and the editing, I liked a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
editing
those too. I think what we can say about this is what we tend to say about almost every movie that we cover, is that you could have just done so much more by going back to what makes a story engaging. What makes a movie, what makes people feel, and that's creating empathy with the character. This character is pretty mysterious. Some of the empathy that I was building was sort of pushed out of the way by listening to this quote.
Yeah.
I think the person on the screen is far more powerful than what the narration was saying.
Yeah.
And you could have let us invest ourselves more into this guy. It actually would have been a more stirring film.
Right. There's this thing that YouTubers do a lot, where they talk over B-roll, especially video game people. They'll say they're analyzing a game from start to finish, but they're just showing B-roll of the game, right? Just being played. And you're like, okay, well, I can either get invested in what they're doing or get invested in what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't do both.
Yeah.
Not, especially when they're
and
not.
And the B-roll is usually like
connected.
Really
it's
thoughtless.
It's
Yes.
there
It's
for the
just-
sake of being
it's just
there.
filler.
Yeah, where they're saying they actually want an audio, like a podcast.
Yeah,
but they're
but
like,
it's-
no, we're
they're
put
on
on
YouTube.
Right, we're on
Well,
YouTube.
It's
right.
like it's a big mistake. It's made all the time now because it was popularized by NPR.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I kind of feel like it was pioneered by Ira Glass, who does This American Life, and that's this technique where they interview someone who is integral to the story, and they start saying, my name's Bob, and my house burned down yesterday, and let me tell you how it happened. And then Bob keeps talking, but his volume drops out, and the host, Ira Glass, comes in and says, what Bob says now is this,
Right.
and summarizes it because they have to compress it down into a short piece.
Yeah.
And I see that done all the time now, and the problem is it takes you this much further from an empathic connection to
Right.
the person who's related to the story.
Right. Definitely.
Stay connected to the people.
Yeah.
I hate that. I really hate that.
When we finished watching this movie, D, you mentioned that you thought this might have been the first pretentious movie that we've seen.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and when we say the word pretentious, it's not a hurtful thing. People like to use it a lot to describe anything that's artsy.
Yeah.
Pretentious literally means pretending, where you're showing something but acting like it's something bigger. In this essence, I think it was accidental pretension, And what I mean by that is it seemed like there was some meaning that was trying to be made with this strong visuals and the strong audio that was mixed together, but it was just mixed. And it was like oil and water, right? It just didn't connect. It stayed separate, but it was mixed together. So in that essence, because it's a film, it made it seem like it was pretentious because
attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talent, or culture, etc.
Exactly.
And that's what the visuals were doing compared to the audio.
That's what the film was doing.
Yeah.
Like the visuals themselves, amazing. Audio, amazing. Together, you're creating something different, and it wasn't working.
On a completely side note, I think people use pretentious way too liberally.
Oh yeah.
and misuse it all the time.
All the time.
I get that word hurled at me all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
that's my
elitist.
like.
That
one too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
elitist,
I get elitist
gatekeeper,
and pretentious a lot.
elitist,
I shop at
gatekeeper,
Whole
and
Foods.
pontificate, and what's the other one? Pretentious. All those, I think are, like you said, used way too liberally. When someone talks about something that they care about, it's more of just an impassioned talk. It's not pretentious. It's not gatekeeping. It's not elitist. You're doing those things when you're speaking down upon other people, saying that what they did was wrong because they have no use at all. When you're criticizing, when you're like picking apart, you're an artist, and you're acknowledging that the other person,
which is what we
artist
do
too.
here. It's
Yeah.
what our whole show is about.
Right.
Some people think this show is pretentious, I'm sure.
I'm sure they do.
But that's not
fine.
elitist.
Or gatekeeping.
What is elitist is when I go to Walmart and I feel like I hate being here because when I walk through these doors, I feel dirty.
Dirty.
See, that's elitist.
You're such an elitist, Kenny.
Only with where I shop.
Kenny, you're vegan too.
Yep. Oh.
That's pretentious.
Ooh. Yeah.
Being vegan's pretentious.
Yeah, why are you pretending that just because you're vegan, you
Yeah.
think you're deeper
think
than
you're-
you really
you
are?
think you're deeper.
Oh, well, you see, food, you are what you, the food you eat
Yeah.
is nutrition.
You are what you eat.
Meat is murder.
I just want to say, Kenny is the most sane vegan I've ever met in my life.
You just want to put that out there.
Yeah, just
Thanks,
saying.
man.
Oh, well, you're vegan too, which is weird. And so am I, which is kind of weird.
D's crazy.
Taylor's the most not vegan person.
You like eat everything that's...
I'm vegetarian, actually.
Let me put it this way.
If vegetarian means only meat, then that's what you are.
You know how like the thing about the joke about vegans is how do you know someone's a vegan? He
They'll tell
told
you, yeah.
right? I am never the one
Yeah.
to bring up that I'm vegan.
Yeah.
It is always the people around me,
Yeah, me.
right? Like what
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
happened. It's always like, oh, he's vegan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not me. Other people think I'm the oddity.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
So Kenny's
pretentious.
pretentious.
I may be, and I'm comfortable with that. It's okay.
That's good. You're
yeah.
you're pretentious. You're a gatekeeper, and I'm elitist.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're the trifecta.
So are you saying you're better than me?
Yes.
No, I don't think either of you should
At
be
what?
filmmaking.
Real films
Yeah, see,
are expressionist films.
Exactly. Real films express something. You guys are just doing documentaries, design films.
I'm more like you than I'm like D.
Well, I'm.
We're related.
I was like, I got no.
Well, I'm nope.
We've derailed.
Yeah, we've really
Several
really
tiers.
derailed.
we're spiraling.
Not only are we derailing, we're devolving.
Ooh.
So, thanks for your film, Nate.
What questions we got?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the main
Well,
my
what was
main
your
question
thoughts?
is I want to know your motivation behind this movie.
Yeah.
What you sought out to do from the beginning, what you were hoping to accomplish. Was this all the same person? Are we looking the actor we see on the screen? Because there are several shots where it looks like a different guy.
You think so?
Did you ever feel that way?
I never got that.
Okay. So if it is the same guy throughout, I mean, when you're dripping wet, you look different, I guess.
I want to know what your thoughts were behind the visuals of this film. And
Like,
the
why is he
cinematography.
painting?
Yeah, like why did you choose a painter, and why did you choose him standing here looking?
Basically, why I think is what we want.
Yeah, why?
Just why.
All the way
Why?
across.
Why live?
Send us a very long comment where you explain why you did everything in this movie.
Black and white also.
Why'd you do black and white?
I love it. I think
it
black
looks
and white
great.
looks really good.
Yeah.
It's
here.
gorgeous. It looks like an Ansel Adams photograph.
It does.
The contrast is just like, it's
Beautiful.
exactly like vintage black and white photography. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of sexy.
Yeah, it's very,
I
very
like
good.
it.
I like the cinematography a lot. I'd like it better if it was silent.
Yeah. And actually, you know what? I was really into it because I was thinking, I was like, man, this movie is literally soundless. No sound at all. Purely visual. And I was like, yeah, this is cool.
I just had a funny thought. It's because you said you liked it better as a short film and
As a silent film?
As a silent film, and I thought all those videos that you scroll across on YouTube that says like turn volume up. If you had one that said like turn off your volume.
Turn off volume.
Turn off your volume.
Watch the
Unplug your earbuds. We would like to do this same thing for your short films. If you like punishment.
Yeah, I think the only people that we're talking to right now is this person. 'Cause I'm pretty sure he's the only one who's watching it.
Who's left? No, man, we got fans.
We got fans.
We got at least 4.
Hey, if you guys know any filmmakers that have made films, send them our way.
Yep.
And be like, hey, you should let these guys, just rip apart your film.
Yeah.
You'd love it.
You'd love it. It feels good. Like tearing off a Band-Aid and falling down stairs.
Yeah.
Breaking through a sheet of ice into freezing cold water only to find that the hole is sealed up above you and you're quickly being depleted of oxygen and seeing tunnel vision.
But it's necessary.
Yeah, but it's good for you.
It's good
It's
for you.
healthy.
It's good for
Yeah,
you.
to build character.
Yeah.
Builds character.
Yep.
If you have a film that you'd like covered, feel free to submit it at our subreddit, r/Karmanlinestudios.
r/Karmanlinestudios.
Or you can also send us a link to our email, which is in the description down below.
Email in the description.
Either or.
We have an
Either or.
email?
We got an email.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. We're
I think it's here.
serious. It's here, neither here nor there.
Where is
doesn't
it?
matter.
Where
It
is
doesn't matter. The email doesn't matter.
Yeah, we haven't come up with an ending for this show yet.
Okay. And that's the bottom line.
Of course, it's time for Sheriff Woody.
Hey, no, that's copyright. You can't do that.
Film roundup.
Come on and save the day.
Save the day.
That's not the word.
Short film roundup. Come on, let's save the day.
Okay, so after we...
It's time for Sheriff Woody. Yodelay, yodelay, yodelay.
Okay.
Bullseye, he's a good filmmaker. Sorry. I'm so sorry. This is bad.